Persuadable. Oh my god, hi boo-boos. Guess what? I am playing rank mostly every night on Southeast Asia as well as NAEU. And so hit me up, boo-boos. This is why have an OnlyFans account when you can have a YouTube and y'all can play with me for free, right? And if you want nudes, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I feel kind of uncomfortable right now because I don't know where I'm going with this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I didn't even have a joke in my mind. But why make an OnlyFans account when you can play video games with me for free, right? And have my... Actually, you know what? In all fairness, playing with me fucking sucks. I get so intense. And then if we're not doing good, I'm going to tell you why we're not doing good. And the funniest part is when I fuck up, oh my God, I lose my shit. But that's how I enjoy playing the game. So if you ever want to play with me, anyone who plays with me will tell you, listen, I'm not Mr. Rogers, a happy-go-lucky guy. I'm Gordon Ramsay. I get intense. It doesn't matter if you suck, I'll still fuck with you as long as we can honestly look at our gameplay and say, okay, where are we fucking up? What can we do better? How can we improve? And that can be a little intimidating for some people. Percy is completely fucking underwhelming. Now, this footage was submitted to me, and I wanted to actually show some good Percy gameplay. This person is a top 10 Percy, I think, to my knowledge. I also think that they're a higher tier hunter. I think they're either tier 7 or 6 or whatever. I don't know. And so I want to thank you for submitting your gameplay. I truly appreciate that because I wanted to make a video talking about Percy, but I didn't want to go through the painstaking moment of using him myself. But anyways, I think he's underwhelming. I think the problem with this character is that late game benefits you way too much. Right? There's so many times as a survivor, when I say benefit you, I mean benefit survivors. There's so many times where you don't even have to worry about a Percy once those ciphers are popped up. Once you hear the exit gate is open, you can literally just run towards it. And if he downed you, it doesn't matter because you could fucking crawl there. I think that Percy was a little bit more complicated than what people gave credit to. The ability to jump and turn at the same time. Paying attention to your indicators so you can take down a pallet. I think he was a little bit more complicated when we first imagined, but I don't think he's scary enough where he makes sense. And I think that the problem with Percy is the problem that the devs have always used in terms of trying to judge character balance. And that is, they listen to survivors way too fucking much. Okay? That's the problem. This game, it's like a paradox where, there's an esports sort of league to this game, high tier, strategy. And the game is not just about how well you can kite in the beginning of the game. It also includes how your decoding is, how your transitioning is, your map pressure. There's a lot of elements to this game, which it's very high intensity, fast paced action gameplay. Now, the problem with Percy is that it would make, his build would make sense if he could absolutely fucking destroy survivors early game. I mean, he needs to be one of those hunters that when it comes time for early game kiting, you're very, very scared about. And he doesn't have that fear factor yet. And the reason being so is that I genuinely don't think that he has enough weapons at his disposal. If you're going to tell me that you need to bleed survivors out, that means that you need to make the hunter, you need to make him super fucking scary to go against in terms of the tight kite. That's the whole point of his character build, is between the map pressure and the anti-tight kite. And when he's lacking that a little bit, and we'll get into that a little bit if we have some time, it's really easy to survive towards that late game. I think he's going to be perfectly fine for mid-tier, low tiers. A lot of those survivors don't really know what they're doing. That's evidenced by the fact that they had to nerf the violinist because people don't know how to click a button to get rid of a debuff. And that's okay. That's part of the game. And we need to pay attention to those players because they're also the future of the game and the growth. So I understand that. But in terms of his actual anti-tight kiting, a lot of Percy mains will tell you that even if they're a good Percy, it's really difficult. It's really difficult because he doesn't have enough weapons. So his anti-tight kite is okay. His anti-transitional kite is very good. But his anti-tight kite isn't really that remarkable. And the problem is that too many survivors can counter. And so what does that mean? What does this got to do with everything that you're saying, Persuadable? You're jumping all over the place. I'm actually not. I'm going to get back to my original premise. If they actually balance this character where he's a huge fucking monster in the beginning of the game and he's really like super hard to tight kite, which would make sense given how he is as a character, where he's supposed to be able to down you fast so he can move on and allow people to rescue. I mean, they really tried something here. They attempted to make this a character that doesn't sit around and stand around. This is a character that is constantly on the go, which would have been game-changing. This is something that Dead by Daylight mobile players wanted from the beginning with all hunters. And we know that that's just not true with how the game is. And it's a whole separate game from Dead by Daylight, so it's fine. The game, in the sense of where it is now, is fine. But when you attempt something like this, if you make Percy that dangerous, the survivor mains will lose their shit. He's impossible to kite. He's impossible to go against. He's too strong. And they've done this before. They've done this against other hunters historically who are really big monsters in terms of the anti-tight kite. And we've seen nerfs historically, especially with what we have seen with Spider and what we have seen with other top hunters. Even Clown, where they had to fix that, where they took away a lot of his attachments in Season 1, and then they had to bring them back because everyone was saying it was too hard to kite a Clown. I think the problem with this character is that to truly balance him out, you have to make him much stronger against the anti-tight kite. And I think that because a lot of people are so one-dimensional in regards to that, they literally will measure how strong or how weak a hunter is based on that anti-tight kite, even though there's way more things at hand here. Right? Map pressure, for example. The hunters are good for many multiple reasons, depending on the situation. And so what they need to do, they need to make his anti-tight kite as strong as Bonbon and as strong as Sculptor. That's my honest opinion. Now, I'm not sure if my analysis makes sense, though. And so let's explore this a little bit. I am such a fucking nerd. Well, yeah, let's explore both sides of this. Okay. The difference between him and a Bonbon and a Sculptor is that he can prevent the transitional kite in a little bit better theoretically. I hate you. I use that word way too much. He has the dash. He can catch up to you. One of the strongest ways to counter a Bonbon and to counter a Sculptor is break in line of sight and your ability to really transition well. Especially early game. Against a Percy, that can be really difficult. Transitioning against a Percy can be very, very difficult. So we can say that his anti-transitional kite is pretty damn good. You could say the same thing with Wu Chang with some of his abilities as well. All right. The thing though is that really the anti-tight kite, it needs to be improved a little bit better, because if you really want to make him a stronger character, you have to have the ability to down survivors faster, quicker, so you can move on from there, get to other survivors, because the late game is way too strong against Percy. It's a fast-paced match. He doesn't have all the time in the world. Now, making a hunter only so good based on survivor mistakes is something that I'm not really always for, right? There's a lot of hunters who can outperform survivors even if survivors are doing everything correct. A Feaster can do that with tentacle placement. A Wu Chang can do that. A Bonbon can throw off routes. A Sculptor can prevent you. So a Violinist can do it as well, depending on how he uses his ability. A lot of these hunters don't rely on survivors making mistakes. They can cause survivors to make mistakes. Now with Percy, it's to a degree the same thing in regards to the making a survivor transitional kite a little bit too early. But like as one example, I genuinely think that his stun ability, if he uses his stun ability, it should also take down pallets. Late game, we know his stun ability, once it's ampled up to the amount that it needs to be, he can hit you twice for damage. But in reality, you need to increase his ability to really prevent that anti-tight kite in the beginning. He has really good map pressure in regards to mobility and being able to move around using his ability and getting that indicator above 50. But I think he needs a little bit more sprinkle sauce in order to make him more dangerous. And the reason being so is that, again, the late game can be so destructive on him. So destructive. You go down, you can crawl right out of that gate. Or you go down, you can crawl right into a dungeon and you literally can do nothing about it. Now, one of the things that you could do is you could make an exception where if you're down, even if you go above 25%, which will hopefully eliminate you, you can't exit the gates. I mean, that could be some sort of weird rule that you can make for him, or you can't go in it, but that would make really no sense either. So I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on Percy. A lot of people have been asking me about this. I made a video a little bit longer ago about Percy. I think he's an underwhelming character. I think that I don't think we should have expected the devs to get this down correctly in the first try either. This is a whole new concept. It's a new concept where you're not using rocket chairs. It's the first time you're really doing that, except like maybe with Spider and her cocoon, which, wasn't really beneficial anyways because it wasted too much web depending on the situation or what survivors would do. Although using the spider web, the cocoon would make sense if you're in the corner of the map and you're trying to be annoying. You can just web them right there and force somebody not being able to get the rescue. So that, there were some strategies using spider and that cocoon and that would work. But with Percy, it just makes no real sense on how his character is developed. If this was Dead by Daylight and the game was significantly reduced in terms of the decoding, he would make sense. And he would pretty much almost be where he needs to be at. But because this game, literally, some games, you can literally be done. I'm saying literally way too much. You can do all the decoding and they're in under 4.5 minutes. There have been matches where we've gotten all the ciphers down in like 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Using like a lawyer and a mechanic together, because lawyer has that decoding of 120% after that first cipher, and a mechanic, and you kite very well, and that can happen. And so this game can be very fast paced, and we know that most of the time the matches are usually between 6.5 to 7 minutes, other than photographer. So what does that mean? It means that he really needs to be able to down survivors fast, quick, move on, get to the next survivor. And I think that that's the biggest issue with him. And if you're still allowing survivors to kite him like an animal, and you're not relying on survivors making mistakes, until he's fully fed, a lot of the time he's really waiting for survivors to make mistakes. Percy is still a newer hunter, so a lot of us are still trying to get the feel for him. But this is why, in my opinion, he's a little underwhelming. And I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. I've been wrong about character analysis before, especially with Mad Eyes. So the question is, what do you all think? And what do you think needs to be adjusted about him? And I think that's a significant point. I'd like to know. A lot of people think that he's underwhelming. I don't really come across anyone who thinks that he's overpowered or even severely formidable. But we've also seen Percy already get some nerfs, which is like fucking mind-blowing to me. But I had the same conversation about Mad Eyes as well. So I don't know if I'm being too harsh with this analysis. I could be. That's the thing. That's why I like making these videos and talking. Usually I think you guys know that I have, I really do. I put a lot of effort and energy into these analysis videos. And when we have just general discussions and, sometimes I'm patient instead of coming out with, whether a character is overpowered or not, unless I'm really making a bold prediction. I've done it historically. I did it with Seer. I did it with Perfumer. But anyways, I'm not sure if I'm going to really be too tough with this. I just woke up, by the way, so I'm like tired as shit. I didn't even finish this video. Super Bowl was on, and I stopped the video, and then I never got back to it. Now I just woke up. I don't even remember anything I just said in the past 12 minutes. But either way, hopefully it was a good, good content. but I could be wrong in regards to the character. That's what it comes down to, opinions. I genuinely think, in summary, in conclusion, the best way to make this character more viable is to make their anti-kite much stronger. But I think a lot of people would have a problem with that, since, a lot of people think how long you kite dictates to hunter. Whereas many hunters have many different strong qualities. I think it was a bold strategy for NetEase to attempt this character in conclusion. But if we really want him to be more versatile, I think he needs to have more scary weapons instead of only relying on survivors making mistakes. Please tell me your thoughts. I'll definitely read them. And you all have a beautiful day. Bye-bye now, boo-boos.